Everybody's talking about artificial intelligence anywhere in the world, and here at AWS reInvent especially, AI is everywhere. That's why I'm here with Qlik and HARMAN talking about the realities of AI. We're going to go through some of the things to watch out for, some of the things that have tripped people up, and the ways that generative AI is coming into the enterprise, bringing enterprise data with it, and other types of AI as well. It goes well beyond just Gen AI and chatbots. I'm Stephen Foskett from Gestalt IT, and we are here with Harman and Qlik.
My name is Ganesh. I'm the Chief Product Officer for Harman DDS, harman.com.
My name is Brendan Grady. I'm the General Manager of the Analytics Business Unit at Qlik. You can follow me on LinkedIn, and you can also visit qlik.com.
We're here at AWS reInvent, and of course the talk of the town is generative AI. Every booth, everybody's talking about Gen AI. But it seems to me that a lot of them haven't really learned a lot of the lessons of AI. Now, if you've watched Gestalt IT's Utilizing Tech podcast, you saw me host 3 seasons talking about AI. And we came up with a lot of discussion that wasn't really as much about the technology as it was about the human factors and the business factors of implementing AI. That's why the combination of presentation here with Qlik and HARMAN caught my attention, because what they're talking about is basically the same things that we talked about on utilizing AI. It's not just about building AI technology that works, it's about building applications, and applications that have boundaries, that have valid data, that produce valid results, that are ethically defensible, that work with customers, and so on. So let's dive in a little bit. Now, you've got some points that you want to talk about here during your presentation. What are the key factors that people should be talking about when they're looking at applications that use generative AI?
Well, the first and foremost, what we want our customers to think about, and what our customers are actually telling us, is that if you get it wrong, it ends up very badly, right? That's one of the things that we're hearing. And one of the things that I encourage a lot of our customers to do is go use Google and search for AI fails or business intelligence fails. And it brings back an absolutely incredible list of very bad things that ended up in the news. So we really want you to think about that is where you start. So think about the negative impacts as you go down this path so that you can ensure that you're going to get it right.
So HARMAN has been using this technology and working with this. Tell us a little bit about what you've learned in your journey.
So the key thing we learned in our journey is to get our data right, because as we all know, the AI models is as good as the data. The second key point is to use responsible AI not as an afterthought, but start right at the beginning, right? Because you are considering factors like bias in the data, ethics behind it, or the interpretability, the explainability, and these are things you need to keep concerned about upfront and not as an afterthought.
Absolutely. These are some of the topics, again, that we talked about on utilizing AI. There is inherent bias to all data. So my background is in sociology. I believe that it is a continual fight for quality, for data quality, but also to fight inherent biases that filter through. What are the sorts of biases that companies might be finding when they try to implement generative AI?
So there are bias in the data and there is bias in the models, right? The bias in the data is when you take a sample of data which is, where the distribution is towards a certain type of data categories, right? So which is easy to find and fix because there are standard techniques and methodologies to look at the data and identify where the data distribution is skewed, and you can actually bring in a better data set, or you can actually bring in you can actually bring in dummy data which can actually fix the problem. The bigger problem or challenge is in the concept or the model bias, where the model is built by a set of people who are biased towards a certain concept, right? This is a bigger challenge to solve because the model bias can really hit you hard because the model is ultimately taking a decision based on the parameters fine-tuned by the developer. So the human bias gets into the model bias, which is a much more difficult problem to solve than data bias.
What's really interesting, if I may, what was really interesting is one of the first things that I found was a case study of a company that does hiring. They actually were only recommending people with certain demographics as well as certain ages, and that is a clear example of a bias that you've got to keep your eyes on.
That's right.
A lot of companies as well are trying to figure out how they can use pre-built public models. I mean, there's all sorts of talk about that here at reInvent. I know that Qlik has many partners that have wonderful technology here. How are they going to be able to approach this if this public model, this pre-built model, has potential for bias, but also doesn't really have your data, your voice, your goals, your business objectives built into it? How do you solve that problem?
That's a big challenge. I think a lot of our customers and a lot of the people that we're speaking to are really kicking the tires around OpenAI and what's happening with ChatGPT. What many of them are finding is that it's just too risky to only use that public data. And so where we're headed with our products and our solutions and our point of view is that we believe that you got to choose the right model for your business. Get that business case well defined up front, what you're trying to get done, what you're trying to achieve. But we're seeing that customers are going to start using more private models, but they're also going to be combining some of that public data because it provides a level of information that you can't get with just data from behind your firewall.
At Harman, we are adopting large language models both internally, and we are also helping our customers in their LLM adoption journey. And one of the key concerns with many of the customers is that they are uncomfortable dealing with the black box, which is a public large language model. This is where a private large language model comes into play, where the customers can train and fine-tune the model on their own data, which means that you're not depending upon a black box to tell you make a decision. You can actually build a private model using a foundation model and have complete control over the entire model lifecycle.
I really think that that's the sort of the holy grail of what people are here looking for. Again, we're at reInvent, and AI's on everybody's lips, but nobody's really saying, I wish I could just use ChatGPT. What they're saying is, I wish I had an intelligent assistant that would be able to process and understand and produce value based on my company's data. It seems to me that a lot of this talk about running models in the cloud or integrating models as chatbots with your application or whatever, that's all well and good, but if it doesn't have your data, then it's not really useful. I mean, would you hire a person who doesn't know anything about your company and put them on tech support? You know, I think that's kind of the analogy for basically bringing ChatGPT in here for some of these products.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, I guess one could ask, why would you use AI at all? Why does deep learning and chatbots and Gen AI, why does that really make sense to the business? What are the best applications for this technology?
So it's pretty interesting. It's an interesting topic because it's such a buzzword right now. Every business leader feels like they need to, quote, do AI without really understanding what they're actually trying to get done and what problems you're trying to solve. Traditional analytic techniques around visualization and things like that just fall down, right? They don't surface up insights and answers to your questions and help you make decisions in a way that's going to give you patterns that you didn't see. So we're finding the applications to be really around natural language, being able to ask questions of your structured data and getting an answer there. That's one of the key things that Qlik does. We're also finding it as spitting out natural language generation so that we can give an answer to an end user that just wants a simple text that they can say. So we're really seeing NLG, NLP as some of the areas we're focusing in on. What are you seeing at Harman?
What we are doing in Harman is that we are doing a detailed exercise across all the divisions and all the functions to look at what use cases they want to look at, right? So, and we are helping the decision makers and the deciders to classify these use cases between impact and the effort, right? Mm-hmm. So we are doing a detailed exercise, and we have a list of 3 to 4 dozen plus use cases shortlisted, and we are doing a detailed analysis and how much of effort, how much of impact these use cases can bring in. So one thing we are seeing consistently across all the use cases is that the low-hanging fruits, which are the chatbots, are winning, as immediate implementation because it's easy to implement. You can actually use an existing data set, quickly train and build a chatbot, right? And then we are going to the slightly more difficult use cases, which is interpreting, numbers, right? For example, you mentioned the exact example of you have a balance sheet, or if you have a supplier invoice, can you understand the structure behind it? Can you make recommendations behind it? And then, of course, getting into the more complex use cases, can I write a copyright for a press release, for example? Mm-hmm. We can grade between multiple, levels of complexity, and depending upon the level of complexity, you need to bring in elements of more and more of supervision of the decision made by the model.
What about things beyond generative AI? Now, it's kind of a pet peeve for a lot of people in the data space. When you hear in pop culture about AI, everybody immediately jumps to ChatGPT, right?
Totally.
It's all about that text generation. But of course, that's only like one little corner of the field. Where will we be able to be using AI technology beyond generative AI, beyond generating text?
So it's one of the things that we're really starting to think about is because, to your point, all of this buzz around generative AI and everyone wants to go do that, you can't forget some of your more traditional techniques like machine learning, right? That's still relevant through all of this. You can think about predictive analytics, what is likely to happen. Think about prescriptive analytics, what you should actually be doing. And what we're seeing is more and more of our customers and more people out there, as the digital natives get into the workforce, right? These people that are sort of teenagers now and in their mid-20s, they're just going to expect these AI techniques to be part of everything they do. So you're going to see these techniques embedded in almost every single aspect of applications out there moving forward.
I believe more and more of, in addition to what Brendan mentioned, I believe more and more of multimodal AI is going to play a more important role, because right now a lot of focus is on the text, but you are combining text with image, audio, video, right? That is going to give us new insights. And I believe that very soon we'll all have each of our own personal generative AI model, because a tremendous amount of data is captured on your phones, your devices, your home automation, etc. So each family or each individual have their own private model, getting all insights about their own lifestyles, for example.
Isn't it interesting, because so many of us have been sold on this concept of a personal digital assistant. Literally for 30 years now, people have been talking about personal digital assistants, and yet and in enterprise as well, we've been sold on this idea of information management and analytics and business information, business intelligence. But until this point, it really wasn't intelligent, it really wasn't personal, it really wasn't an assistant. I think that it's pretty likely that the things that we're doing right now around generative AI and around machine learning and bringing data into that are going to be really like the introduction of the iPhone, and it's going to make all of our previous attempts at personal digital assistants to look like flip phones. Are you with me on that?
Completely.
Yeah.
And it really is all about personalization, and it's all about the data. So tell me a little bit more. Where can people learn more about what Harman is doing and what you're building?
So we are, doing a lot of technology adoption internally within Harman, because we are, early adopters of Gen AI. We started actually working on a lot of the concepts, way back, and we are also helping a number of our customers, right? So you can go to the website, have a look at some of the concepts we are building. We also recently launched our own private large language model called Health GPT, where we actually used a foundation model. We sourced data from the healthcare domain, and we built a very, very powerful GPT model trained on clinical trials, publicly available clinical trials data, right? So I encourage you to have a look at it, because it's one of those very, very interesting model built for a certain domain using a foundation model.
So how about Qlik? Where can we learn more?
So Qlik has developed our point of view on AI, and visit our website is one area where you can really focus about it. You'll learn about our point of view called Stage, which will share everything you need to know to be successful with AI, and also help you avoid some of the missteps along the way.
And as for me, you'll be able to see this interview here at gestaltit.com. I do recommend checking out Utilizing AI, the first seasons of Utilizing Tech in your favorite podcast application, and on YouTube, where we talk a lot about the choices, the questions that we've been discussing here. And check out as well, we're going to have another deep dive video with Qlik here on gestaltit.com publishing soon.